This episode of Blue Plz was brought to you in part by Anand Diswani, who wished to send a special message to his sister, Prithvi Diswani, who just started her own accounting firm called Centurion Accounting here in the States. He says she is an inspiration to me, my friends, and my family, and I wish her all the best.
And so, it begins. Dark were the skies, and chill was the wind, as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewed across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks, we shall do the intro in song, and we shall deafen the audience, because we hate the audience, we hate the audience. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz, here on cynicalbrit.com, with myself, TotalBiscuit. So good, we named it twice. Now, if any of you have any ears left, the time is 20:04. It is possibly 20:04. Maybe. And you are listening to this show. Oh, man, so many crying in the chat. It's wonderful. That's the kind of thing I like to see. That's fantastic stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yep, got people on cam drinking to take away the pain. That's totally right. Yeah, it's 8:05 in the British Isles. It's 9-something in Europe, but it's different time zones, so it's kind of confusing and stuff. And on the east coast of the United States, they are planning a total biscuit burning in order to stand up to terrorism. And you're listening to a World of Warcraft show on the internet. Is it not terrible? It is. What have I got coming up for you in the show today? Well, the first thing I'll say is that the Tiny Chat was full before anything happened, yeah? We were full like halfway through the pre-show. It's not even funny. However, I'm in the process, with the help of the VTW guys, making a solution to that problem. So I've got something up right now that you can use. If you can't get into the Tiny Chat, I've got an alternative for you. Now, we're hoping to switch over to this entirely in the next couple of weeks to get rid of Tiny Chat, because Tiny Chat lags so bad during live shows. If you're listening on podcasts, consider yourself lucky you don't have to deal with the lag of Tiny Chat. Oh, man. It is horrendous. But you can go over to tinyearl.com. Yes, I like saying tiny. I don't care. Tiny URL, TotalBiscuit. Tiny Earl is funnier. God damn it. I'll not be told otherwise. Tiny URL, earl.com/cynical chat. That's cynical chat. That has a few additional cam spots, as far as I can tell, and it also has a Java link to our IRC channel. Now, again, we're going to probably be switching over to this entirely in the next few weeks, so I would recommend that you give it a bash. If you can't already get into the Tiny Chat, then use that. Should work. Should be good. But yeah, it's a good plan, and no doubt the Tiny... Yes, it's being spammed. Excellent. Oh yeah, we are totally full. We're actually over Tiny Chat's capacity. Tiny Chat's capacity is 405. We've got 400, and we got 406. So it's a little silly. Now, I suppose the question that might be on your minds, if you have any sense, and you're listening to a WoW show for World of Warcraft talk, as opposed to listening to it for me blabbering on about literally nothing, would be what's coming up in the show today. I'm thankful that I can tell you. So, first things first, going to be talking about guild rewards. I just put a video up of this. If you're some kind of heathen and you really hate my music, and if you do, then that makes me sad. Honestly. It does. It makes me really goddamn sad. Then you can watch the video during the music breaks. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait. I did a video of how the guild reward systems work. I'm going to be talking about that. And as to whether or not the guild reward system in its current form is any good, I think that is something that's a little bit important to discuss. Also, Grim Batol and the concept of suckery. Yes. The comments section on my Grim Batol video is extremely entertaining. As was, I might add, the thread that we trolled to hell earlier today. There was a 2-page thread which was use the TotalBiscuit principle, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. And some people came along and decided to hate on me, as they always do. You know, haters gonna hate, fakers gonna fake, and video makers gonna make videos, as you might imagine. Now, what I decided to do to those guys was to drown them in fanboys, and it's very rare that I call upon the combined might of 95,000 YouTube subscribers and 70,000 podcast subscribers, but I decided to make an exception just for this stage. We got to 12 pages of Spartacus references before Vanarus came and what is this shit? Seriously. And ended up locking the thread. It was funny as hell. I loved it to bits. Oh, yeah. Oh, and we've just spammed the IC. Wonderful. So, yeah, there you go. You've still got chat rooms. It's all good. Okay. We'll be talking about being critical and how to be a proper beta tester. The principles behind it. When you get into the beta, there's things that I would like you to do. And there's things that I try and do. And I'm not the perfect beta tester by any stretch. And I'll also be talking about how I'm not the perfect player by any stretch of the imagination. But, yeah, we'll go into that a little bit later on the show. There's a lot of things I want to say. And, of course, at the end of the show, as always, Cataclysm Q&A. You can email him for that. themurloc@cynicalbrit.com or gmail.com or whatever the hell you want to use. They'll both get there. Or you can send me questions via Twitter for Cataclysm Q&A at the end of the show. I don't take them via Tiny Chat, but I will take them via IRC. Because Tiny Chat, it's impossible to read them on. It's so dumb. I mean, when you get a message and you look at it, when you get another message, it clicks you off that screen. It is horrendous. Yeah, we'll be hoping to get the hell off of there. Ralph is apparently crying because we're breaking his chat server with his IRC and stuff like that. It's your own fault for giving me the link. Yeah, we'll have that installed on the Cynical Brit box, which is much more capable at some point over the week. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you, I was mentioning on last Friday's show that I won a car, so I went down to collect it on Saturday, and as it turns out, yes, in fact, it is not a fake car. It is a real car. And yes, I do have a picture of it that I will find and I'll post it in the chat for you. So yes, the Cynical car, or Cynical Mobile, or whatever you say, is actually sitting in my drive right now, as is a BC Rich Warbeast guitar. I can't drive and I can't play guitar. It's awesome. It's time for this.
Mail time! That sounds like it's mail time! Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to whack
my tail.
When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it is the mail time. That is the time where we read the mail. The mail, as you might imagine. Okay. First thing is first, as you might expect. If first thing was fourth, that would be really awkward, wouldn't it? That's one of the most redundant phrases I've ever actually heard when you think about it for a second. First thing is first. No This one comes in from Nova. Nova says this. Dear TB, until very recently I was under the impression that Cataclysm was going to release with 4 raid zones. The Grim Batol raid, which actually that's not the case, by the way. There is no Grim Batol raid. Grim Batol is a 5-man. You're talking about the Bastion of Twilight, which is in the Twilight Highlands. That's the one where Cho'Gall and Lady Sinestra is hanging around. So, yeah. Blackwing Descent, the Skywall, and the Firelands. However, a guild member in the beta told me the Firelands is not going to be released at launch. Not believing him, I went to WoW-Wiki, where it also says the Firelands has been delayed till some point after launch. My question is, are you aware of the delay, and what is your thoughts on Blizzard releasing less raid content at the launch? Thanks very much. Personally, can't wait till Shoutcraft gets back on the air, which is mid-October, I might add, by the way, guys. B Broadband is sorting me out with a sweet connection. God, those guys are awesome. Seriously, if you want an ISP in the UK, B Broadband, BE. So good. It's so nice to call a customer service representative that actually knows the difference between a modem and a line attenuation. It's so rare these days. B Broadband, definitely. 100% endorsed by CynicalBrits.com. Right. Well, the first thing is first on this. What do you think, I believe, about delaying content? I think it sucks, man. Why would it not suck? Why would anyone actually want them to delay the content? It's just... It's annoying when you get promised something and you don't get it. Now, when it comes to stuff like, say, the dance studio, it's like, oh, okay, right, whatever. It was some silly gimmick, we get the idea. It wasn't put in the game. Meh. It still kind of sucks, actually, I might add, even though I don't care about the dance studio in any way, shape, or form. When you advertise something, when you have it in your trailers and stuff like that, it sucks when they cut it. Because that's part of your hype. It's the same reason why I was so pissed off about Path of the Titans. Oh, right, we got rid of Path of the Titans. Right, okay, well, you advertised that as part of the package. In fact, it was one of the most exciting parts of the package. Alternate progression systems. Yes, that's what we want. And, of course, that was taken out. Yeah, I was annoyed by that. And, of course, I'm annoyed about the Firelands not being in there. Now, I'll have to check WoW Wiki. I can't actually remember if that was a 6-bosser or a 4-bosser. Let me check that out. I think it might have been the 4-boss. Having a look at it. It looks like it might be. Actually, there's a map of it here. I should probably have a look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the 4-boss. Or actually, that might be a... No, that's 6, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's a 6-boss. That's bad. That is really bad. I mean, that reminds me of the launch of Wrath, where they delayed Ulduar. Ulduar was supposed to be in at launch, and it never got there. And the problem now is that you actually have less bosses on launch than you had with Wrath. And yeah, they're not recycled bosses, but that's still, what, a 6, a 4, and 2 1s? I mean, what was the one? God, there was supposed to be 1s, wasn't there? I can't blankly remember what it was. That doesn't actually make any sense when you think about it. Which one was it? The Blackwing Descent is a... I think this has changed around, actually, because I'm pretty sure the Blackwing Descent actually has more than 1, doesn't it? I'm going to have to check on WoW Wiki for this as well. Bear in mind, none of us have got to test this yet, so it's really difficult to tell. Because they said they'd have 2 6s, a 4, and a 1. That's what they said at BlizzCon, and that's obviously changed. Blackwing Descent is a new raid instance. It is part of entry-level raiding. It does involve killing Nefarian again, I might add. But it doesn't actually say what else. Oh, here we go. Here's a map of it. It would appear to be a 2-stager. So, if we'll have a look at Blackwing Descent 2, there's 3 bosses, 4 bosses there. And underneath, that's another 6? Sorry, another 2. Does that mean we've got... Because I know for a fact that the Twilight Highlands is 6, I think. The Bastion of Twilight, that's a 6. Because I know it had Cho'Gall. Oh, it might have been a 5, and then an additional bonus boss at the end. Lady Sinestra is this bonus guy. Blackwing Descent looks like it's got 6. Skywall, I think, has 4, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it looks like it does. Or is it 1? Looking at Throne of the Four Winds, no, that has 2, actually. Yeah, they've changed this completely. This is really very, very different indeed. I'm looking at the Skywall raid map right now, and it's got 2 bosses in it. So, I mean, it looks like they're actually putting in more bosses than they said they would, but they're -1 raid, which is not a good thing at all. It seems to me, if you go in there with, what, Blackwing Descent, which is 6, Grim Batol, which is not Grim Batol, it's Bastion of the Twilight, which is 6, and then Skywall, which is 2, you've got more new bosses than you had with Wrath, but you have less bosses in total. Because, of course, you had Naxxramas, and then you had Sartharion, which was 1, Malagos, which was 1, and then VOA, which doesn't really count. Bear in mind, VOA is also going to be in there as well, the Tol Barad, Baradin Hold style, which is actually going to have a heroic mode, supposedly. I found that rather interesting. So, right, the answer is I hate the fact that they've taken content out, but it still looks like the lineup is going to be better than the launch of Wrath, and that's what really matters to me most. It always sucks when they take raid content out, and I'm not happy with that at all. But still, you've still got a good variety of content. They're real dungeons as opposed to a recycled one and a bunch of one bosses. Huh? According to that, Throne of Air, or whatever, has 2. Now, maybe one of those is a unlockable heroic boss. Okay, that's still 2 bosses. That's more than 1. The only 1 bossy you've got is the Baron and Hold. The rest are, at least by the sounds of it, 5 or 6. It's not terrible, honestly. It's a good lineup. It could do with being better. That's the comment that I would make on that. Yes, indeed. Now, do we have time for another mail? I don't actually think we do. I think I almost burned out my time on that. Yeah, I did. So, I'll have to cover some of the mail at some other time. I've got loads of good ones, honestly. I'm half tempted to do another mail section. We'll see how the show goes by the end. If I'm feeling knackered by the end, I might do another mail section to cover the rest of the stuff that I got. Because there were some really, really good questions, and I'm sorry that I spent all of that time on that. But it was a good topic. At the end of the day, when people send me good topics, I'm going to talk about good topics. Why would I not? Why would I not? Now, what I'm going to do with these music breaks is I'm going to put in some little cuts from Cataclysm. Because some of this stuff is awesome. I'll play some proper music and I'll play some Cataclysm music. Because Cataclysm music's quite short. So, you know, it's not too big a deal to play a little bit of Cataclysm music and have a little bit of fun with that. I don't really see the problem with that at all. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to play you... there are so many good tracks here. That's the problem. Very difficult to actually make a choice right here. I'm going to play you Eye of the Vortex 1. Now, this track is supposedly played when you go into the Eye of the Vortex in Darkshore. And then I'll play some of the music after that. So, yeah, we'll do that. Little cuts from Cataclysm. This is by a guy by the name of Neil Acree. Now, I have no idea who this guy is. I don't recall him being in the previous ones. I may stand corrected on that. But there is a much wider variety of composers available in Cataclysm. So this is Eye of the Vortex, and I'll be right back with some more music after this. And then into our first topic of the day. You're listening to Blue Plz. My name is TotalBiscuit. Enjoy. You're listening to Blue Plz here on cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. You have no idea how many people actually requested that song after I played it last week. So good, though, isn't it? I had a bad time with Sonata Arctica when they released Unia by the fact that there's only one good track on that entire album, and that's Caleb, I might add. Oh, God, it was bad times. It was a dark time. Ugh. Thankfully, they've redeemed themselves very much so with that album. It's so very good. I'd highly recommend that you all go and pick it up. Go listen to it on Spotify. Go and download it from Amazon or iTunes, whatever you like to use. It's called The Days of Grays. Or The Day of Grays, whatever you prefer. Okay. Shall we get on with it? I've been told there are topics to be discussed. Whole lot of fun and prizes to be won. Funhouse. Did anyone else find Funhouse a little bit creepy? I found Funhouse a bit creepy. I mean, really. It was a kids' show, and they paraded these two... I would say, yeah, we'll go with young women around as sort of like cheerleaders and stuff like that. And the funny thing was that later on in life, they actually did a semi-strip show for university parties. I'm not kidding. It's so terrible. Oh, man. How the mighty have fallen in that regard. Yeah. Most of you who aren't British probably have no idea what Funhouse actually is. If you're not British, that was just... Pat Sharp was weird. Anyway, let's talk about Guild, shall we, as opposed to Funhouse, of all things. Right, okay, so let's do it. What are we talking about? Well, specifically, we're talking about the new Guild reward system that just came in. I'll give you a brief overview of it if you haven't seen my video. So, this is how it works. You've got a set of Guild rewards that are available to anyone that's in a Guild, and they are bound to several factors. Now, one of these factors is, of course, cold, hard cash. Some people made the comment when I said that most likely one of the big sinks for... Actually, this might have been on Reddit, come to think of it. I did a Reddit Q&A, and big shout out to anyone that is a Redditor here. They've actually been really supportive of my videos in general, so definitely appreciate that, and certainly the place to be now that Dig has gone to hell in a handbasket. So a big shout out to the WoW guys over there. And one of them said, in response to a remark that I made about gold sinks in Cataclysm, I said that Guild rewards are probably going to be the gold sinks of Cataclysm, and someone turned around and said, well, no, Blizzard said that they wouldn't cost gold or whatever. That's not true, actually. They didn't say that, and I'm fairly sure they said quite the opposite, in fact. And in the beta right now, yes, most Guild rewards cost money. In fact, I think all of them do, give or take. So, in the case of a lot of the heirlooms, they are really pricey. I mean, I'm talking right now. Bear in mind, all of this is always subject to change, and thankfully, as retarded as some people will be on YouTube, I like to think that my listener base is a little smarter after listening to me for a few years. I certainly hope so. Or at least way more jaded, cynical, and sarcastic. I'm cool with that as well. Everything is subject to change. But right now, those heirlooms cost 20,000 gold each. Now, that might sound like a lot, but bear in mind that if gold goes up anywhere near the amount that it did in, say, the TBC to Wrath transition, or indeed the normal to TBC transition, then that's not going to be all that much, honestly. Yeah, well, whatever the case. It costs money. Now, what else? Well, you also have to have a certain level of reputation with the guild. Now, this isn't implemented on a lot of things right now, and it seems to be pretty broken. For instance, there are 3 guild standards that you can put up. You can actually put up a big banner for your guild, which is blatantly stolen, I might add, although not in quite as cool a manner from Warhammer Online. They actually had guild standards that you could socket with various abilities and spells and stuff. That was pro, if I recall. And they give you an XP or honor boost if you are in the same guild as someone within a 45-yard radius. So basically, you plant your flag in the ground, and you stand on the hill in the middle of a battleground. You have some kind of epic last stand Alamo thing going on, and you get bonus honor. It's so fun. And of course, if you're in a sub-85 battleground, you're gaining experience for it as well. So you're double dipping in terms of how much you're gaining there. Thing is, there's 3 versions of it. A 2%, a 4%, and a 6%, going from green to purple. And they're all accessible and friendly right now, and they all cost the same amount of gold. So I am thinking they're probably going to change that. The last thing, which I actually noticed an awful lot of, and I was quite surprised by this, is that a lot of the rewards are tied to guild achievements. Now, guild achievements are self-explanatory. They are achievements that you must do with your guild. Shock horror, ladies and gents. Yes, I know. You're staggered. Absolutely staggered by that. I mean, really. It's something that I'm trying to think as to whether or not I actually approve of this, because you all know that I'm not really big into achievements. I think that achievements, in general, are a big stonking waste of time. Yeah, stonking. Very much a stonking waste of time. They're not great, honestly. I'm really not big into them, but it's got me thinking. Well, these guild achievements, some of them are really stupid. Like, for instance, there's one called Critter Kill Squad. 50,000 critters. You gotta kill 50,000 critters across the entirety of your guild, and you unlock an armadillo pet. So, it's kind of funny, I guess. I mean, I can't really condemn them for putting in a really funny achievement, something that's just silly, you know? And it's not really social, it doesn't require any effort whatsoever, but it's hilarious. I was like, go slaughter every critter in the world, and you get a critter back. It's like, okay, this doesn't seem like a pretty fair exchange. 50,000 critters for one. Oh well, never mind. Little armadillo pet, though. That might be fun. The armadillos are the only thing that will survive the critter cost. Ugh. Now, that's a stupid achievement, but there are other ones. Like, say, to get the Dark Phoenix mount, you have to complete the guild version of Glory of the Cataclysm Raider, which right now, Glory of the Cataclysm Raider only includes, as far as I can tell anyway, I might have to have a look at this, they might not have put the metas in yet, but I think it only includes beating the 3 dungeons that are going to be there on launch, so Blackwing Descent, Skywall, and Bastion of Twilight. This may or may not be the case. I would imagine, if it's anything like Glory of the Blair Raider, then it's going to be a bunch of metas. But I didn't see that when I looked at it. I'll have to have another look at it later on. I would imagine it will be, honestly. So that gets you the Dark Phoenix mount, and you get that via being in a guild. So that's unusual, because back in Wrath, it didn't matter if you're in a guild or not. You can complete the achievement with pugs, and you'll still get the mount. Now, some people might complain and say, oh, well, I don't want to be in a guild, I want a pug. And I say, well, it's nice that you've admitted on the show that you are, in fact, a masochist. And if you're into that kind of thing, I'm not going to judge. Not going to judge. Everyone has their little kinks, ladies and gents, and in this case, apparently, it's pugging. Oh, that is... rather be horsewhipped, what can I say? Now, honestly, that is just ridiculous, but that's not to say that they won't have a Glory of the Cataclysm Raider that's a non-guild version that will have a different, a different kind of mount associated with it. And that seems reasonable, right? I mean, surely that's more content. Everyone wants more content, right? Yeah? Surely. Variety and distinction is so important. It's the same reason I had a problem... Well, that would not be one of them. It would be one of them, but it wouldn't be the whole reason. I had so many problems with the Celestial Steed, i.e. TRH. It's so bad. But one of the problems I had with it was the fact that it took away some of the distinguishing nature of the Invincible mount. Because, like, well, I've got this really unique looking mount, and now someone could buy the knockoff version of it. Yeah? It's like the 4-stripe version of Adidas or whatever. It's like a fake Rolex. It takes away somewhat from the unique aspect and the prestige of owning a Rolex. In this case, if you have the same mount no matter what, it's not like... It's hard to explain. The best way to explain it is the way that people feel when they got the Rusted Proto-Drake and the Ironbound Proto-Drake. When they got those. Were those disabled? I don't think they were they? I think you can still get them. And they left them running for ages. And loads of people got them. And then by the end of it, your Rusted and your Ironbound Proto-Drake, they just weren't special anymore. Because people had devalued them. The longer they were around, the less valuable they became because more people got them and it's like, hey, less variety. It's why I always also actually kind of feel sorry for people that bought the TRH to begin with, because they just paid money for a mount that makes them look exactly the same as everyone else. And notice how few of them there are now. I went on the live server to do some filming. Nobody's riding that thing anymore on my server. Why? Because they know that everyone else did. They're sick of seeing it everywhere. They don't want to ride something that's so... And to be honest, I probably got a bit of hate for it as well. And, you know, getting hate for a purchase decision is kind of crappy, but at the end of the day... You accept that when you buy something that ridiculous, that the community of WoW is going to be hostile to you in some regard. Because you are actually supporting bad business practices that affect everybody. It's not just I remember the lines, actually, on my video when I did the TRH video. He's just jealous because he can't afford it. The irony, of course, being of that the amount of traffic that's sent to my site, I could have bought an entire sack of TRH from the ad revenue. But hey, there you go. People are gonna be dumb. It's not about jealousy. It's about recognizing the fact that it was a bad business decision, and that it can lead to really bad stuff in the future. Microtransactions for stuff that should be free as part of your subscription. We're talking about taking development time away from subscriber content. That's bad. That's bad for everybody. Anyway, kind of get straying off topic a little bit here. I'm alright with this guild achievement thing. I don't think, by the looks of it, as I say, I haven't seen the metas yet, so it's really kind of difficult. You know what, I'm going to actually log in, and I'll have a look at it. It'll take a little bit of time for me to do it, but I'll tell you as to whether or not. The problem I've got with achievements in general is that when it comes to raiding guilds, you often get some people that really want the achievements and some people that don't. And you have a schism split down the middle in the raiding guild, and it causes a lot of drama. It caused us drama in Nax, in Old War, in TOC, in ICC. Let's go for the achievement, guys. No, we don't want to. Now, what I said back when the Nax achievements came out is stuff like the Spores one. The Spores ones are so dumb. It's a really, really terrible one. That was on Lower Theb, if you remember correctly. It's one where you do something that you just wouldn't do otherwise, and actually makes the fight less fun. Well, another example would be the achievement in ICC for Lady Death Whisper, where you keep 5 mobs alive as well. Why would you do that? It's silly. It doesn't make any sense in terms of the fight. Because actually, what you're doing there, to actually access that achievement, you've got to do the fight wrong. That's why it's such a dumb achievement. As far as I'm concerned, achievements should be for doing a fight in a particularly exceptional manner. Like, nobody gets hit by this. You know, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that I would like to see achievements for. We're talking like perfect runs. Boss kills that are exceptional. Killing a boss in a certain amount of time, for instance. You know, that's an achievement. That is actually quite challenging in some regard. I mean, what else have we got? Well, there's a lot of other examples, honestly. You could probably hear that cranking through my headphones. Let's not do that. No new music as of yet on the login screen, ladies and gents, I'm afraid. Some of them are okay, but some of them are not. And like I say, there are people who care about achievements and there are people that don't. But I think with the element of guild achievements, people are probably going to care more. And I imagine that's what Blizzard had in mind. At the end of the day, it's a good way to turn around and say, you need to achieve something in order to get access to this particular mount. Or this particular pet. That's already in the game to some small degree. And we saw the whole thing about achievement points that when they first came in, they were supposed to be spent on these vanity pets and things like that. That never actually happened, but some, and I do say only some, do give you access to certain titles and things like that. With guild achievements, almost all of the really big guild achievements actually give access to something in the guild rewards tab. It's nice to have a reason as a guild to work together. I'm just not entirely convinced that the achievements in their current state are going to do that. Like, one of them is place 5,000 feasts. What? Are you serious? I mean, 5,000 feasts? That's silly. That's a huge number of feasts. And I bet it hasn't counted them so far. I can guarantee it. Because we're talking about counting stuff as a guild, which didn't actually happen before that. So I'm not so keen on that one. And what I'll also say about that kind of achievement is it encourages Zerg guilds, like really big guilds. They said they wanted to make it sort of equal for smaller guilds and large guilds by only counting the top 10 people contributing. But how is that going to work for place 5,000 feasts? It's not going to do it for that, is it? Surely. I don't know. We're going to have to see about that. I mean, we've got like 500 critters killed in our guild so far. I don't know if it tells you who killed them. I'm sure that it doesn't just count the top 10, though. It counts it towards contributing to guild experience, but not towards these guild achievements, as far as I can tell. And the server's broken right now, so I can't log in to tell you whether or not the meta's that case, but just annoying as hell! But whatever, we'll deal with it. So, conclusion, yeah, guild achievements could be really cool, and the fact that the guild rewards system is linked to it is also nice. I mean, I'm totally in favor of guild rewards, absolutely. Anything that encourages guild play is good, in my opinion. I just think the guild achievements do need a bit of work right now, and I'll, of course, be providing my feedback from that over the next couple of weeks. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com with Brian Blessed. I wish. I so wish. That would be like the coup of the century. I could just die happy if I got Brian Blessed on the show. And I'll play some Tanaris music. This is by David Arkenstone. If this is the track I think it is, and goddamn, I hope I picked the right one, it is so good. Enjoy.
You need a premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. It's goblin engineering, you see. Not like those inferior gnome products, always backfiring. If you're short on cash, you can even share the cost of the server with Guild Deposit. Have those lazy guildies of yours pay their dues. You know, I could offer you this amazing electric cattle prod that'll really get them moving.
UGTservers.com. Voice communication for your guild. Get yours today.
You're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. I'd just like to point out a message that I was sent, which I did have to laugh at. That's like, Nightwish is in Tanaris? Guys, it's called DJing. It's where you take a song that sounds quite similar, say in terms of pacing or key or theme, and you put it after a song that sounds quite similar in terms of pacing or key or beat or theme. It's unbelievable, I know, it's crazy. Like, yes, Amaranth was in the same key, or at least it sounded like it was very, very similar to being in the same key as the Tanaris track, which is the reason it got played. But yes, first things first, you'll never hear this news anywhere else. Yes, Nightwish is in Tanaris, guarantee, confirmed, inside sources, direct from the beta. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh well. Okay, right. Let's get on with showing, shall we? Showing sounds good. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about something you may be familiar with, I would think. It's called Grim Batol. People seem to dig that video. It had a lot of likes and very few dislikes, which is quite surprising considering the vitriol that was thrown my way when I expressed my opinion that instances should be hard. Crazy. Hard instance? No! Absolutely not! That would be insane! Yes. Well, apparently, some people were offended that I thought Grim Batol should be difficult. Because it's a normal mode, TotalBiscuit. Normal modes are where they feed me epics. I lie down and a few nubile young virgins, and sadly these virgins are male because it's WoW, but nubile young virgins come along and feed me grapes and epics. That is what a normal mode is, TotalBiscuit. You do not understand. You do not understand. Well, I'm fairly sure I do understand, and what I understand is that video games only work when there is challenge involved. Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? It's a concept that a lot of people don't really seem to fully grasp. If there is no challenge, it's not worth playing the game at all. That would be horrendous, wouldn't it? Why would you play a game that has no challenge? I'm trying to think of one that I've enjoyed that was not challenging in any way, shape, or form. No, can't think of one. Not one at all. What have I played in the last 6 months? League of Legends, challenging. WoW, to some degree, challenging. DDO, challenging. Command & Conquer, challenging. Recettear, challenging. Ruse, challenging. Assassin's Creed 2, challenging. Street Fighter 4, challenging. Yeah, you notice a common theme here. These are proper video games, and these video games are actually challenging. And oddly enough, the only exception in that is WoW, which is disgraceful when you think about it, because plenty of other MMOs are challenging. Now, the point of challenge is that it challenges you. Oh, God, that's a revelation! I don't think I can quite recover from that. My heart's just... it can't take it. Yeah, challenging is challenging, and challenges are indeed challenging. If they're not challenging, there wouldn't be challenges to begin with, would they? That would be silly. You call a spade when it's a spoon, do you? So it comes down to, at what point should you be challenged? And I answer that quite simply with, every time you step outside of a major city, in any capacity. Whether it be in terms of daily quests, whether it be in terms of PvP, whether it be in terms of PvE raid content, whether it be in terms of simply questing, just something. Challenge me. Please challenge me so I don't fall asleep. There's a reason why, in fact, probably one of the only reasons I didn't really like BioShock all that much was because of the lack of challenge. It made the content feel pointless. It was like a slideshow. It was like walking through a hall, a gallery, instead of playing an actual video game. The things couldn't kill me, and when they did kill me, I just came right back up again with absolutely no loss of any description. It was just pointless. Utterly, flagrantly pointless. So, Grim Batol was a breath of fresh air to me. I've been playing... how many have I done? I've done, 5 dungeons out of the 7 that are currently available. The 2 that I've got left are the Lost City of the Tolvir and the Halls of Origination. Yes, as far as I can tell, there are in fact 3 dungeons in Oldham, which is a good thing, because Oldham is stonking huge. Funnily enough, there are no... it's weird. There are no dungeons actually in Mount Hyjal right now. At all. Which is bizarre when you think about it. There is something called the Sulfuran Keep, but you can't get in it. There's no way in it at all. I don't know what that's even for. Maybe that's access to the Firelands. I suppose that would kind of make sense, but... yeah, it is really weird. The actual portal is not a raid portal either. It's an instance portal, so I don't really know what's going on there. Whatever the case. I did them, and 2 of them I was really disappointed by. Stone Core and Vortex Pinnacle, which, oddly enough, were higher level dungeons than the ones I really liked, which were actually level 80 dungeons. I'm talking about, of course, the Blackrock Caverns and the Throne of Tides. Both of those were actually really good. I liked them an awful lot. Whereas Stone Core had some nice aesthetic, as did Vortex Pinnacle, I might add. I mean, aesthetic is not a problem for Cataclysm. You've got to understand this. Aesthetic is one of the really strong elements of Cataclysm. It takes the old and polishes it up to a mirror shine. That's what's so cool about it, because you get instant recognition. You go to an area and like, yeah, I recognize this area. I remember questing in it, but it looks different now. And it looks better. It really does. You just need to go to Stormwind right now. You look at even the floor textures are better. They've upgraded the bloody floor textures. The whole place looks better. Orgrimmar looks better. It's higher texture resolution across the board. It's better designed as well. So much good stuff in there. Anyone says they haven't updated the graphics just isn't looking hard enough. Or as I might add, judging everything entirely off of 360p YouTube videos, which would make you incredibly dumb. Yeah, really, really silly. Grim Batol, after doing Stonecore, whereby it had a weak set of bosses, very weak. I mean, the trash was pretty good, especially at the start. Big fan of the Millhouse Mana Storm mechanic, as I like to call it. The MMM. The MM&M, in fact. StarCraft 2 reference. Yeah, it's very good. But the bosses kind of blow. The first one was really good, but the other three, yeah, half bosses is what I like to call them. They have half a boss's worth of mechanic. They've got mechanics that don't synergize with anything. So what's the point in even having them to begin with? It's like, okay, well, we'll make it a boss, guys. Oh, we have to? Yes, guys, we've got to make bosses, otherwise the subscribers get upset. Okay, right, well, we could have a dragon, I guess. Oh, what can the dragon do? Well, I suppose it can have a fall from the sky. It can have, like, rockfall and maybe a breath, but mostly rockfall. Okay, cool. How do they synergize? They don't. Exactly. So what is the point? These wayward, these lackluster, these missing mechanics that are just floating around the place for no good reason at all. It's very unfortunate. Vortex Pinnacle was a little better, but it still lacked that semblance of, this is a boss that has abilities that are designed to work in harmony to kill you horribly. They had some cool mechanics, like you remember the Drake? Yeah, the Drake with the upwind and downwind mechanic. That's a great mechanic, but it's not really meshed with anything. Right? The only thing it really meshes with is the breath, which isn't going to kill you under any circumstances. Like I suggested in the video, probably the best way to deal with that would be to have it so that if you are upwind, whereby you're actually getting the bonus, you also have a stacking debuff of some description, or a dot, some kind of chill. Something that synergizes well together. That's how you do a boss. That's how bosses work. Blizzard knows this. They've designed tons of bosses like that in the past. Which is why I'm kind of distressed that... Sorry, someone just came along with a parrot in the chat. I'm like, yeah, pro. It's why I don't look at the chat while I'm doing the show, folks, as much as I would like to, as there are so many crazy people in there. If someone comes on with a parrot in a hat, what am I supposed to do other than freeze? I'm not that professional. Whatever. Now, Grim Batol. Grim Batol is the whole package as far as I'm concerned, and that's why it's such a great dungeon. It's got a cool gimmick mechanic that allows you to accelerate the dungeon if you don't suck. That's the big thing about it, if you don't suck. Such a perfect idea. Let's go back to In the Mists of Time to Zul'Gurub. If you didn't suck, you could bypass a lot of the trash in there. Yeah? You had to be very careful where you stood, but if you knew the instance, you'd practiced it, and you didn't suck, you could bypass a lot of the trash in Zul'Gurub. In this case, they've decided to take that mechanic and make it something a little bit more, I wouldn't say so much proactive, but more engaging. It doesn't feel like you're cheesing it. Yeah? Avoiding packs like that is cool, but it feels a bit cheesy. It's like the instance wasn't designed for that. It's like, why would they be there to begin with if you were only supposed to avoid them, one thinks? Well, in this case, what you got with Grim Batol is the ability to drop bombs on a massive amount of trash. Yeah, you get a good run, I think all the way up to the first boss, at least. You get to drop bombs on trash on drakes. Yeah? Here's the thing with it. This is the trick, yeah? You've got 5 drakes, and you only get 1 shot at this run. Once you're done, you're done. You can't do it again. And if you do not kill the pack in its entirety, then it comes back at full health. Now, what that means is that there are loads of packs. You've actually got to pick and choose which packs you kill. You can't kill all of them. And if you actually spread your damage, you will kill none of them, as you saw in the video. That is such a good mechanic! God, whoever came up with that, please, Blizzard, if you're listening to this show, and I know that some of you do, so hi to Nethera and the CMs and the GMs that listen to the show. Very much appreciated, as always, that you actually listen. It's very cool. Big fan of that. Whoever came up with that mechanic, please give them a raise, or at least a donut and a coffee or something, because that is one of the best dungeon mechanics I've ever heard of. It's perfect. Just think about it for a second. You have to be a coordinated group. You have to know the dungeon, which means you've got to have done it a few times in order to get maximum possible effectiveness out of this mechanic. You have to communicate. Hell, as I demonstrated, you even have to time it so that you go on the drakes one at a time. You saw how we mounted it 2 seconds apart? That was so we could spread our drakes out so they weren't all stacked together, so we could actually see. And we could also, the guy at the back could try and pick off the ones that were on low health. organization in a 5-man, it's more likely than you think, ladies and gents, thanks to this wonderful mechanic. It's so good. More of that, please. Now, what else? Well, the dungeon itself is really well designed. The trash is hard, genuinely challenging. We had 3 forms of CC in there, and we still wiped a few times. Think about that for a second. 3 out of 5 of our guys had crowd control. Now, a lot of people do have crowd control, but we had quite reliable crowd control. I mean, we're talking about, we had a polymorph and 2 trap launchers. Yeah, so we had 2 hunters in there that were able to launch those traps. And even at one point, you might notice that we had, because the tank died, we had the seagulls tanking. So we managed to tank some of the trash that way. So we had a lot of what I like to... I don't really like to call that because I don't like to swear on this show, but shiz mechanics. Let's go with that. Yeah, I'm in da hood at this point in time. As you can tell by my ghostly white features on the cam, I am indeed your homeboy or something. I can never really get away with homeboy. It sounds disturbing. It sounds awfully like another kind of boy that I don't really want to mention. Whatever the case. The bosses were great, the trashes were great, and we had, we weren't dumb. I mean, we weren't the best. We're never the best. I'm not the best, and I'll talk a lot about that in the next segment, actually, which is about criticism and things like that, and how to best deliver it to Blizzard. But we were challenged by a normal dungeon, and that is so very important, because that also makes me think that the heroic's going to be awesome. Some people said, the normal modes were challenging in Wrath in beta. No, they weren't, because I did them. They were not challenging at all. We breezed them. And then, sadly, we went and breezed the heroics as well. It makes me feel good about that dungeon. The bosses are inventive. Again, they could stand to have a few more mechanics. Like the end boss, a couple more mechanics would be nice. But there's some really cool stuff in there. Like the boss that has a weapon change. It's like Garfrost and Mr. Smite. So you can either call it Mr. Smite Mark 2 or Mr. Smite Mark 3. I don't really like to talk about Garfrost, because Garfrost wasn't that great a boss, but whatever. He switches weapons, and he's got this mechanic called Phalanx, whereby he's got a personal Phalanx. If you attack him from the front, he does 99% damage reduction. I would love it if we can have some raid bosses that actually did that on a regular basis. Say, like, they had only one quadrant that they could really be attacked on. I don't know. Can you do that? Do they have just I don't know how the hitboxes work. Can they detect a hit from the side? Because if they can, they should do that. It should have a boss whereby you have to keep moving constantly to attack his weak spot for massive damage, yes. And it could, in fact, be some kind of giant crustacean. A ginormous crustacean, as it were. Does that sound like a good idea? It does to me. I'm a fan of that. Absolutely. Overall, though, Grim Batol is such a bright hope for the future. I've got one thing to say to Blizzard. Don't nerf your bloody dungeons. You don't have to. People get better with practice. That's the point. And if they don't want to practice, they can bugger off to free realms, as far as I'm concerned, and handing quests where it involves getting toilet paper for people and NPCs. I kid ye not. That is the kind of thing they deserve. Go to hell, entitled casual whiners. My name is TotalBiscuit, this is Blue Plz, and I'm coming back right after the break to talk about delivering criticism to Blizzard and how to be a good beta tester. This is called Welcome to Orgrimmar, and I'll play a little bit of music after this as well to come back, and we'll do some criticism, which I'm told is not testing. Enjoy. Yes, indeed, folks. This is the Blue Plz here on CircleBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Someone asked me if I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm from Newcastle. I would be lynched. I don't even like football anyway. I don't give a damn. It doesn't have enough explosions in it, for one thing. Right, what have we got coming up? God, I'll tell you, it is bloody hot in this suit jacket, I'll tell you. But I'll look good for the audience. Oh, wait, I'm now incinerating. So suit jacket is coming off. Thank you very much. I don't care if it makes me look less professional. Yes, indeed. There you go. You have a striptease on the cam. That's as much as you're getting. It's for your own good, trust me. Right. So, let's talk a little bit about something else. We're going to talk about a thread that we broke. I love this. I love this kind of stuff. It's fantastic. Do I actually have... Yeah, this entire thread, basically, some of the trolls that post in there, they all deserve the title of... Imbecile of the week. There you go. Okay. Make it rain. What? What are you talking about, you gibbering idiot? Alright, so let's have a look at it, shall we? This thread is so dumb. If you want to check it out, the best way to do it is go to facebook.com/cynicalbrit. Even if you don't use Facebook, just go to Facebook and click on, it's the second one down, Cataclysm threads. Please use TotalBiscuit's rule that is on the forums. This got to 12 pages. Yeah. Now, the start of it was a fairly, I mean, I've got to say sorry to Clara, whoever Clara is, one of my viewers. Sorry for killing your thread, but really... Sadly, because people are dumb and can't understand the difference between the message and the messenger, they have this need, this desire to go on a rampage about someone who is flagrantly better than they are. You know, one of my biggest trolls in there that said I sucked is wandering around with an item level 219 mace and 232 welfare gear. And, like, claims he has some kind of machinima contract. The funny thing is he thinks he makes more than me. It's so cute! I wonder what exactly Machinima's policy is on hiring people that have items that are from, let's see, what would that be? A 219 item. That's what? 10-man Ulduar Flame Leviathan? Yeah, I guess they're just clamoring to get that kind of caliber on their channel, I'm sure. Now, anyway, whatever the case was, I apologize to Clara. Clara started off with this post, which was... Please use TotalBiscuit's rule. Now, people are coining this as TotalBiscuit's rule. I just think it's common sense. I don't think it's my rule at all. I'm sure someone as smarter than me has come up with this in the past. But whatever the case, the rule is this. When it comes to abilities that bosses have, the more obvious the ability, the more damage it should do. And the less obvious the ability, the less damage it should do. That means that something that says, oh god, don't stand in me, should actually kill you if you're dumb enough to stand in it. That's the rule. This is some of the complaints that I've had, especially with Deep Holm and the Stone Core, was that didn't happen. I could stand in a massive great falling rock and not even take a quarter of my health in damage. It's just so ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. Why would you? Why? Why would you want that to happen? Now, of course, because trolls will be trolls, and I might add, yeah, I'm a troll. I'm just a lot better at it than they are. I've had tons more practice, for one thing. I'm a superior troll. It's what comes from years and years and years of getting better at your art. You know, everyone who gets into any kind of art, whether it be music, whether it be some kind of craft, pottery making, perhaps, whether it be endurance bike riding, everyone has to work at it to get better at it. And when it came to me, I worked at trolling for about 5 years. And as such, I'm a lot better at it than these guys on the WoW forums. So... these guys come along and whine about pretty much everything. Oh, it's so dumb. However, I'm not going to talk about the haters, because I don't care about the haters. When it comes to the haters saying, oh, well, I hate TotalBiscuit, a big freaking deal. Oh, no, you hate some random guy on the internet you're never going to meet and actually doesn't even know you exist. Whee! How desperate can you be for attention to want to exclaim that? As I explained very, well, I wouldn't say succinctly, because that honestly would be a little bit arrogant, more arrogant than usual. The last post I made on Facebook was this. Several little known facts. Humor is subjective. We and I are not the same thing. And your individual opinion matters more to you than it does to anyone else. These are all universal truths. And yet people don't seem to really realize that. You know? They think that they represent multiple people as opposed to just themselves, which is pretty much BS, honestly. But hey, there you go. That's what happens. So, the one comment that I really wanted to make this entire section about was one of the dumbest freaking things I have read in a very long time. You know, this deserves Imbecile of the Year thus far. We're talking about beyond hell. You know, I'd go as far as to say we're on the level of Quran burning stupid here. You know, really, we are. And as I said to people on Twitter, you know, if that happened in the UK and they wanted to respond to that, well, it's easy for militant Muslims, really. They just have to look at the kind of things we care about. So, if you're going to burn a book that the British care about, for instance, as some kind of retaliation, then please, by all means, burn the Argos catalogue, because that seems to be the only thing Britain gives a damn about these days. That and bloody Twilight and Harry Potter. I despair for the state of humanity. Anyway, this one remark. It's only 6 words, and yet it encapsulates everything wrong, and I do mean everything, with a good chunk of the player base today. In fact, not just the player base, I'm talking about anyone that communicates with people that make media, or that produces media themselves, or is a fanboy of some kind of media. So I'm going to broad stroke this one. Quote, "He's being critical. That isn't testing." I would like to let that linger in the air for just a moment. So we're going to have 10 seconds of silence, starting now. He's being critical, that isn't testing. Are you out of your bloody mind? Do you not understand the meaning of the word? You don't even know what critical means. That's the sad thing about it. It's the most ridiculous statement I've seen in ages. So, according to this, yeah, testing and criticism are not the same thing. I see. Right, so tell me, I'm sure some of you, I know some of my viewers have been software testers in the past. Some of them have been involved in Q&A. Maybe they could tell me. So, when you go up to Eddie's Diner, when you get involved in the Q&A process and you're asked to actually test something and provide ways to make it work, do you critique it? Do you provide criticism? Or do you say, everything's cool, it's nice, here's a pat on the head and a cake? Because if you say that, you're bloody awful. You're probably the result, in fact. You're the reason that APB sucked. Well, honestly, that's not the case. I mean, a lot of people said that APB was bad, and they were right. You know, it was a bad game, sadly. As, you know, I don't want to see Real-Time World shut down any more than anybody else, but at the end of the day, they released a bad game, they invested a lot of money in it, didn't listen to their beta testing community, and look what happened to them. They ignored criticism, and look what happened. Bye-bye, company. That sucks. It is bad for everyone concerned. And hell, I've got friends at Real-Time Worlds. I don't want them to shut down, but at the end of the day, they made the fatal mistake of believing what that was. That guy right there. Let me repeat that. Very important. Very important. He's being critical. That isn't testing. That's so wrong. So unbelievably wrong. Okay. The problem with criticism is that criticism has been warped. Yeah? The original definition of criticism, well, I'm sure we can find that by simply Googling it. Definition of criticism. Funnily enough, that also comes up with definition of critical thinking, which is what a lot of people really lack. You know what? I wish everyone in the world would do a year's worth of law degree. And not because it would teach them the law, because it would teach them how to critically think. That's one of the key things. That's one of the reasons I'm actually really glad I did law. I have no intention of ever going into law, and I actually despised a lot of the degree course, but what I did like about it is the fact that they told you how to critically think. They taught you, they educated you, they trained your mind so that you could critically analyze a situation from an objective standpoint and not from an emotional, idiotic one. Criticism. The act of criticizing. A critical comment or judgment. A practice of analyzing, classifying, interpreting, or evaluating literary or other artistic works. A critical article or essay. A critique. The investigation of the origin and history of literary documents and textual criticism. That is one of the major definitions. Now, bear in mind there are a lot of definitions for this. One of them is the act or an instance of making unfavorable or severe judgment or comment. Now, unfavorable or severe judgment or comment. Does that mean that it's bad? Well, it means that the comment that has been made is negative. Now, here's where the disconnect happens. The disconnect with some of these bleeding heart idiots is that they believe they have criticism and then they have bad, yeah? Basically, criticism and slagging off, as we like to call it in the UK, slagging something off, hating on something. You know, that's something the Americans use a lot. Hating on this, hating on that, bashing. Bashing is used as well. Slamming, you know, stuff like that. That indicates an element of malice. And they just connect that directly to criticism. They assume that criticism must be loaded with malice. And this is so very wrong. That's not what criticism is. It can be. I mean, if we say... Here's the thing. Yeah? If we took something like, say, TotalBiscuit, you suck. Yeah? Is that criticism? In a loose sense of the word, yeah. But it doesn't fit into the other stuff. Because, like, we've got all these different definitions and sub-definitions. The practice of analysing, classifying, interpreting, or evaluating. You can say TotalBiscuit, you suck is an evaluation, but it's not a very good one. It's a pretty bad one, honestly. It's like, I'm asked to critique a car, and I say the car is blue and sucks. What do you think the person asking me to critique the car is going to think at that point? It's like, that's a terrible criticism. It's no good. It's like, especially, the best thing about it is that what you've got in that sentence is you've got two good examples of bad criticism. One is a subjective personal opinion. And I'm talking about beyond, I don't like this movie. I'm talking about, oddly enough, the term that was used was objective, but the way that it was used was subjective. So that car is blue is an objective statement, right? But using that car is blue as a criticism, that's personal and subjective, because there is no objective standard whereby a blue car is bad. There is a personal standard of, I don't like blue cars, or I don't like blue wallpaper, or blue anything. That's subjective. And that's what people don't seem to understand. There's nothing necessarily wrong with being subjective. You can't be objective about everything. But what you can do is learn the difference between when objective and subjective criticism is worthwhile. The best thing about subjective criticism, when you do it right, is that you incorporate elements of objective fact and opinion. Like, as far as I'm concerned, games should be challenging is an objective standard, because it's established, yeah? That's how games have been for the last 30 years. Games have some element of challenge in one way or the other, and a game that is too easy serves no practical purpose. Games are competitive. Always they're competitive. Whether you be competing against the AI, the world that you're against. Say, even The Sims is competitive. Even The Sims. Because in The Sims, you're competing against a world that doesn't want you to succeed. It sounds so much like a terrible chick flick, doesn't it? It's like, she was a single mother. But they don't do it like that. They don't have the trailer voice, do they? They do it like, she was a single mother in downtown Manhattan, and the world was against her. That kind of thing. In The Sims, you are actually competing against the world. You are versus the world. You are versus the mechanics of the game. Things can go wrong, and you have to deal with them. You are competing to get the best possible sim house against the world. Everything is competitive. Everything. In some way. It's not the same level of competitiveness. You don't compare The Sims to Dota, but everything is competitive. Everything has to have a challenge. So in terms of objectivity, you can take that as an objective standard, as far as I'm concerned. The game must be challenging. And any criticism of this game should be less challenging is flying in the face of the established convention. Now, when it comes to providing beta feedback, and this is the point of this entire little rant, is that feedback isn't always a pat on the head and a cake. Sometimes it is, yeah? At the end of my Grim Batol video, I gave the spoken equivalent of a pat on the head and a cake to Blizzard. Because I said, Blizzard, this is awesome, please do more of it. But in that video, I also said, well, this doesn't work, and also the attitude that you've displayed in Wrath, that didn't work either. Because that was flying in the face of the concept of challenge. So I criticized them there. Does that mean I hate Blizzard? No, actually, it's quite the opposite. because I give a damn about this game, I want this game to be as good for as many people as possible. Even you guys that suck, even you guys that hate on me. I want the game to be as good as possible for everybody, even you. Which means I have to criticize. That's what every beta tester has to do. You know? I'm the most vocal about it because I happen to have the biggest platform. And all I can say is, this might sound really arrogant, sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but you should be thankful that it was me that got the biggest platform and not some idiot that can't discern the difference between one piece of dungeon content and another that'll say, this is awesome, guys, everything's brilliant. No feedback whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, the people with platforms should be the ones giving the feedback. They have a responsibility to do that. I'm trying to live it up to it as best I can. It doesn't mean I'm the best tester. At all. I don't know who's good and who isn't. It also doesn't mean, more importantly, that I'm the best player. People equate wanting challenging content to you must have item level 277. It's funny, actually, I read that thread, and just as a test, I went to see the people that hated me and the people that actually liked me. The people that actually stood up and said, I like his attitude. You know who they were? They were the guys who had heroic ICC on farm. They were the guys who had heroic ICC gear. And the guy that really hated me, he was the guy with the 219 mace and the 232 welfare epics. That shows a disconnect between two elements of the community. I've never claimed to be the best player. I am an above average raider, and that is it. And you might think above average, that's arrogant. No, it isn't. That's not arrogant at all. Let me show you what an above average raider means. Let me find it. WoW Guild Rankings, wowprogress.com. Let's see if I can find the information here. Encounters, heroic, there we go. I have beaten... Let's see, where is it? I'm sure I can find a example here. This site isn't as good. Oh no, there we go. Can we go 10? There we go. So, I have beaten encounters that the majority of people have not beaten. That's the most important thing about it. That makes me an above average raider, but only just. Only just. And I've always been an above average raider. I've never been the best raider. At all. And it doesn't mean... This is the thing, you don't seem to understand about criticism and feedback. I don't have to want things because I am awesome and elite. People made the comment of, how dare you ask for harder content when you haven't beaten all the heroics? That's BS! You're talking about a small portion of the content as opposed to all the other stuff that you still have to do on a regular basis. It's like, if I haven't done Heroic Lich King, does that mean that I should never ask for buffs to normal ICC? That's BS. Challenging content is so important. So important. I may never reach it. Because I might not be good enough. But here's the thing. I understand that I'm not good enough. And I take ownership of that fact. I'm responsible for my own progress. And I don't want the progress of anybody else to be cheapened because I say, oh, well, I can't beat this boss, so Blizzard, please nerf. Please nerf. No. If I can't beat the boss, it's because I suck. And I should be better. Universal constant always applies to WoW and gaming and everything else in life, ladies and gentlemen. And I will hopefully wear this mantra on my sleeve until the day I die. And that mantra is 3 words. Be less terrible. That's all there is to it. Be less terrible. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. I'm going to play you a little bit of music, just a very short cut from the Arathi Highlands, and then something else. We'll come back with the Cataclysm Q&A. Get your questions into the Murloc@gmail.com. That is the Murloc@gmail.com. This is by Glenn Stafford. This is the Arathi Highlands. Enjoy. Yes, indeed, folks, time for the Cataclysm Q&A. As much as I would love to do another mail segment, I just don't have the energy left. So I've done 2 videos today, 1 interview. If you want to know what the interview's for, I interviewed the CD Projekt guys about The Witcher 2. Tons of cool info. That's going to be going up, and I've got loads of footage as well for videos. It's going to be so good! Sorry, I'm excited. It's really cool. And yeah, I'm preparing to do the whole Amnesia thing. Yes, I'm going to play Amnesia tomorrow night. In the dark. Someone gifted me the full version of this, which is good, because apparently the demo is not all that scary. So what I've been asked is to go all the way through it until I get to a place called the Archives. And then I'm going to try and last 30 minutes in the Archives. And I'm going to video that. It's going to be at night, it's going to be dark, and I'm going to use a camera with a night vision capability. Supposedly it has it anyway, it's quite an old one. And I'm going to film my reactions to it, and I'm going to put that in the corner of the video. It's going to be so much fun. I am terrible when it comes to horror games. I'm so bad with horror games. I can't deal with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that one works out. It's going to be great. I would love to do it live. I don't have the internet for it. And honestly, if I did it live, then I can't put it on YouTube, which is dumb. So anyway. What else has been going on? Well, it looks like we are about to do some Cataclysm Q&A. And you can send them in over the last 15 minutes of the show. Send them over IRC, over Twitter, or to themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Now, this question is coming from, like, everybody, so I'm not going to credit anyone to it. TB, what do you think about the fact that it's going to cost 250 gold to do so-called warm weather flying, as in Azerothian navigation is what it's actually called? It's 250 gold. Get over it. I don't know what they were saying with that, and I don't know why people expected that they wouldn't have some kind of gold sync, but yeah, they have some kind of gold sync. Okay, there you go. So, nah. I don't really care, honestly. I don't care in the slightest as to whether or not there is a cost of some description. Come on. 250 gold. Seriously. By the way, guys, if there's people complaining about the random audio in the tiny chat, just mute everybody. It's not that hard. Just go to the little windows and just click on mute. Actually, you can just go to mute your speakers. Go to the top, you'll see this little microphone. Click mute your speakers. Problem solved. There you go. But yeah, 250 gold is nothing. Who cares? Really. They're going to have gold sinks. It's as simple as that. Okay, here's the Q&A, starting off right here. My question is this. This one comes from Ben Newton. In terms of what you have seen and experienced in the beta, how would you describe Cataclysm in a way that would inspire people who have never played World of Warcraft to join the game? Oh, that's really hard, man. Why did I start with that? Kind of was like, what do you think of the new Goblin mount? You know, wouldn't that would be nice and easy? But no, I've got to do something a little bit philosophical. Well, so, okay. It's a really cool MMO with a lot of different choices and a really epic feel to it. It doesn't demand too much of your time. You're going to enjoy the leveling up process. You're going to see loads of cool stuff. You're going to see loads of unique quests. You're going to get a little bit of PvP in there. You're just going to have a complete package. I think that's the best way to describe it to someone that's never played Warcraft before, or who may have played an MMO before at some point. You are going to get the complete package. It might not have the best everything, but what it does, it's got good everything, basically, now. Wrath, I couldn't have said that for, but with this, yeah, I'd say Cataclysm has good everything. It's not necessarily the best everything, but it's good everything across the board. And it's really easy to get into. And it's colourful. Who can complain about that? Oh, that's huge. I can't answer that. You can't be serious. Wow. Okay. Question. Regarding Outlands and Northrend, have they undergone any significant changes apart from the loading screens? Not really. Outland, definitely not. Northrend, I believe there's a few references to the fact that it isn't Arthas the Lich King anymore. I haven't gone there and actually quested. That's the thing. I've actually got to go and... I would have to go and quest in Northrend in order to get those answers for you. Which I could do, I just would rather shoot myself in the face. But yeah. I do understand the concern, though, that you have to then go to, after level 58, go to the Dark Portal and do the stuff there. It's not ideal, isn't it? I do think they have to do something to hype that up, because otherwise you've got 8 levels or so that just suck in comparison to all the other stuff which doesn't. I don't know, it's difficult. I think they've got too much confidence in their TBC question, which they really shouldn't. I mean, I'm okay with Wrath being the way it is. Maybe just change a few lore references here and there, because the questing in Wrath was actually pretty good. But TBC, no. TBC sucked in terms of questing. The raiding was great, but the questing, no way. No way. Garbage. Okay. What else do we have? Dear TotalBiscuit, my name is Shiv. Well, your parents must have really hated you. I was wondering how far do you think we'll have to go until patch 4.0 comes out, and what do you think they will do to existing Wrath the Lich King raid bosses once 4.0 comes out? Do you think they'll be nerfed again? No, they won't. They absolutely won't. So... Sorry, just give me 1 second. Here we go. Right. They're not going to nerf them because they already did. The 30% nerf has already happened. Didn't you notice? It was that stacking buff that was given to you over the course of a few months. That was what actually happened. So you don't have to have that again. Why would you have that again? You double nerf the content? Yeah, 60% buff to health and damage and healing across the board. Right. Let's trivialize everything, shall we? God, that would be terrible. No, they're not going to do that. As to when 4.0 comes out, I don't know. Probably about a month before Cataclysm. I'm still saying Cataclysm late November, so I would suggest 4.0 is going to come out around the time of BlizzCon. That'll be my theory at any rate. What else do we have? Quite a few. Have you tested Archaeology? It only just came out today. So no, I'm going to do a video on it later tonight if I have the energy. Hopefully I will. Because I want to find out what's all about it. What in Azeroth is the Worgen Mount? Nobody knows, because it's not in the game yet. The Goblin Mount is, and that big Lion Mount is, as you saw in my latest videos, but no, there is no Worgen Mount in it right now, and I don't know what it's going to be. I don't have a clue. Stefan asks, what do you think of Curtain of Frost, PvP ability, and also needs a way larger particle effect, because I can't even bloody see the thing. Curtain of Frost is such a pathetic effect, you can't imagine. It's this tiny little blue line on the floor. You don't even see what it is. I never use it in PvE. What do you think of the new Goblin Mounts? I like the way the character's actually holding the steel. It's cool, man. It's neat. I don't see why people would complain about it, but of course they're going to whine about anything. I just want to see Torn on them. Seriously, it's the best Torn mount, because it's going to be so tiny. Yeah, it's going to be like one of those little Mechanostriders with a Drain Eye on it. Yeah, it's going to be like that, only with Tauren and his tiny little tricycle. So good. Alright, okay, what else have we got? Dear host of shows, nothing. Well, that was a great question. Thank you very much. Dear host of shows!
You dare look upon the host of souls! I shall devour you all!
I'm sure. Dear host of shows, I would like to get your opinion on what the best race is besides trolls. There is no best race besides trolls. What are you talking about? Are you asking for the second best race? All the others. What else have we got? Do you think it would I ever do public raids or runs for fans to play with you? Maybe, actually, maybe. Here's the thing, right? Back when we did WoW Radio, we did a lot of fan and community guilds, and they almost always fell apart really badly. I mean, I'm going to be inviting community members to trollface.jpg, but people have got to understand that with trollface.jpg, I'm going to be raiding with a certain core of people, and I will try to get involved in other stuff, but I'm there to raid. I'll happily have a community based around trollface.jpg, but people have got to understand I'm not going to necessarily play with them all the time. Will I do fan raids? I might. If people really want to get the ear end of my terrible raging when you screw up. I don't see why you'd want to, but hey. I might do it, maybe. Honestly, I think it's more likely to have community events along the lines of playing stuff like, for instance, if you're in the UK right now, if you go to shop2.net, you can buy a game called Section 8 for £2.80, and that's on PC. We'll probably have an event for that. So if you want to go to shop2.net, if you're in the UK, go buy, I think you can order in Europe as well, go buy Section 8, and we're going to have a community event based around that, because that looks kind of neat. But yeah, we mostly just do gaming in general on Cynical Brit Vent, and you should go and hang out there. And don't be scared if people get cynical, just, you've got to lurk for a while. Seriously, you can't just go on and say, hi guys, what's going on? Because the established group there is going to go, what the, who the hell are you? You got to lurk for a while. Understand what people do and don't try to force yourself into a community that's quite established. But hey, there you go. What will be the best PvP and PvE classes? No such thing. I'm sorry, there is no such frickin' thing. I don't know enough about the classes to even make that judgment. They want to make it so that they're all viable. And from what I can tell from the talents, they're getting there. Dear TB, what do you think about the return of actual... Do you think the return of actual hard raid content in Cataclysm will happen? And will we see a return of the Dungeon Master podcast? Maybe. The thing about Dungeon Master is the Dungeon Master was in a time when hard modes didn't exist, so the format's going to have to change. What you're going to see is a video series. People keep asking, are you going to do WoW videos afterwards? Yeah. I am going to do WoW videos afterwards. I'm going to do something, I'm going to do a daily diary kind of thing, and I'm also going to do something called Rage Leader, which is going to be raid guides. I'd say it's a persona, but anyone that's ever raided with me knows that it isn't. It's going to be raid guides in a very bombastic and very loud style, so... Will Dungeon Master Podcast come back? It might, yeah, it might. And those of you who wondered where the vent is, cynicalbit.com/community. It's not that hard. TB, I've got a question for you. This comes from Malcolm Pickett. Which zone do you like better, Oldham or the Twilight Highlands? Oldham. So much frickin' Oldham. Because I just love the Egyptian theme and the Persian theme and the Arabian theme going on there. Yeah, absolutely. Always Oldham. Lord Biscuit, will you ever stream WoW? Maybe at some point when I get proper internet, I might, but not now, because it would look like crap, and honestly, I prefer putting stuff on YouTube, because more people can watch it that way, and I can make it look better. Have Blizzard overhauled Silithus yet? No. Is High Lord Dimitrian still hanging out in the northwest corner? I have no idea who you're talking about. I can't remember. It's been 4 years since I was back in Silithus. No, they haven't overhauled Silithus yet, really. I'll go back and have a look at it once they have. Hey TB, love your work. Wondering if you can answer a quick question about the beta. I understand that things have changed and things might not be finished, but have any of the racial abilities changed yet for the older races? No, they have not. Simple answer for that, and that is hopefully going to be happening very soon because I want to see what they do with it. They need to bring everything up to the level of Goblin and Worgen, because if they don't, well, people are going to whine for nerfs and that would suck. Just wondering, is there anything implemented into the beta that will stop, say, a group of Alliance characters flying into Orgrimmar and destroying everyone on PvP servers? Well, the fact that people won't be PvP flagged, for one thing, because you're in a Horde territory. Even on PvP servers, that actually counts. But right now, not really. I've flown over Stormwind and not got shot at. I would imagine they're going to put something in there to prevent that from happening. They kind of have to. But I haven't seen anything yet. What else have we got? Do you think Blizz should up the experience again from quests and mobs in Cata now that there are so many levels? They kind of already have, as far as I'm concerned. They're scaling everything so that it makes sense. You're not going to have any of this downtime whereby you don't have any real content to play. So, yeah, I think that's already happening. Is it going to speed things up? A little. But the thing is that now the leveling content's actually kind of enjoyable. The questing's a little bit better. So, that's okay. That's cool. And honestly, I just do a little bit of leveling there. It's fun. Guys, I think I'm done, honestly. Oh, no, one last question. What do you think about the Tier 11? I'll tell you what I think about the Tier 11. The same thing I thought about the Tier 7. It freaking blows! But what are you expecting? Seriously. What are you expecting? Tier 4 sucked, Tier 7 sucked, and Tier 1 sucked. Why would Tier 11 not suck? It's starter gear, for God's sake. You can't have something that's amazing, because then what are you going to do later on? Well, okay, you wear this gear and everything within 10 miles explodes. GG. My name has been TotalBiscuit. I don't have a curry and then make videos, because that's just how I roll. As always, you guys have been a wonderful audience, except the guys that haven't. You suck. But most of you have been a wonderful audience. Shout out time, ladies and gents. Get them in to themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. You can also send them over IRC chat. I'm not taking them via Tiny Chat because it lags too much. So yeah, while I wait for those, I'm going to go through the cam wall, as I always do. Persis, can you tell me what exactly that is behind you? I'm very intrigued by the neon thing that you have there. That's very cool. What is it? So please tell me in the chat what that actually is, because that's pretty damn awesome. Murden has a Baneling. That's so cool. Where do I get these Banelings? Where do I get these damn Banelings? Because I would love a Baneling. I would wear it on my head, man. Oh, he's going to show us. Persis going to show us what it is. He turned it off. I can't see it now. You're doing it wrong, Persis. I'm not impressed at all. Oh. I wanted to know what that was. It was the cool glowy thing, man. Oh, well, maybe he'll tell me. Maybe he will tell me. I hope to know. Yes, Foxy, welcome to the chat. Hopefully you've not been swamped with creepy yet, although I have a feeling you probably have. Cammy, what are you wearing on your head? I'm not digging the ethnic thing you've got going on here, I'm afraid. Looks like you're wearing a bloody lampshade. Cackler. There is a distinct lack of cackling going on here. I am not impressed. That needs to be rectified post-haste. Guest 5827, aka The Finn. You have a mask for every occasion. He's done his Worgen transform here. It's pretty damn impressive. He's got the hair and everything. And a little bowler hat. Finn's rapidly becoming one of my favourite cam whores. Fallen Cypher. Why do you have a sheriff's badge in your hand? Why are you wearing a parrot? Why is the parrot wearing a hat? Please explain all of this to me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to think anymore, guys. Avani, possibly one of the most metal people I've seen in our channel for a very long time. Him and Nagranol. Oh, yeah. Representing, what can I say? Dark Lady is brave to come back for a second week. Extremely brave. Although I could totally understand why she'd want to try and obscure as much of her face as possible from the creepy-ass fanboys we've got in here. Metal nonetheless, yes. You are braver than I. That's all I can say. King, you've got this nasty, cheesy grin. Are you wearing those stupid wrap glasses? I am not digging that at all. You are not cool. You are not ghetto in any respect. I cannot respect that, homeboy. And who the hell's this TotalBiscuit guy? Richard Deadzone. He's like 13, I've been told. I'm surprised he's even here without it. Warping his fragile little mind. I don't actually rate, by the way, this show for anyone under the age of 18. Is he playing a ukulele? Is that a freaking ukulele? I've never seen anything like that. That's so silly. It's like, it's a mini fan with a mini guitar. That's so cool. Oh, he's never coming back. Right, shout out time. First things first, shout out to Ralph. He set up the backup Cynical chat. We're probably going to be implementing that as the proper Cynical chat. So thank you, Ralph, for that. Sorry for killing your server. Shout out for Michael Jensen for killing Lich King 25 for the first time. Well done. That's a lot of spam. Is it worth changing my druid to a troll? Of course it's worth changing your druid to a troll. A shout out to Angelo and my Led Zeppelin cap. Oh, and have you realised Angelo's a man yet? I just want to make sure you've gotten this into your head. What do you think about the Arthur's fight? I think that's not a shout out. What else do we have? Shout out to Liberated on DMF. 1 tank, 6 healers for Valethia, 25 heroic. That's too easy, obviously. Shout out to Darkonian for the first Kingslayer, or for doing it for the first time. Impressive, most impressive. A shout out to Zor from Red, that's from Aradnel. A shout out to the lovely YouTube trolls that are obviously jealous. Hate's gonna hate, man. Troller's gonna troll. At the end of the day, you wanna know what that sounds like? It sounds like cha-ching. Hi, GB. I'd like a shout out to my guild, Daisho, on the German server Eridar. That's from Swaz. You may indeed. Are you all smiles und sunshine? That is what I would like to know. A shout out to Devastator 666 Devil Spawn. What? Really? Really? Hate for the hate machine. That's from Lego. Oh my god. That is the worst name I've heard all week. Shout out to La Danse Macabre on Defias Brotherhood. That's from LXJ. He's one of the old school Blue Plz guys. Hells to the yeah. A shout out to Mojo McMuffin for not getting my shout out through. Haha! Reversal! You never saw that coming, did you? A shout out to the critical beta testers. Or in this case, the Crishial beta testers. I need to be critical of your shout out now. Learn to spell! God damn it, guys. You embarrass yourselves and me. Read me! A shout out to Josh with my new epic Q sound, Charmy. Yes, I did just say, where is my soundboard? And also... yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A shout out to Fallen Cypher's Epic Parrot for being just epic. That's from Leon Skirfield. A shout out to Steve, the guy that sometimes comes on Cynical Vent and doesn't talk. He can talk, you know. Don't mind Kresra, he's just a moody bitch. He's like perma-PMS. Shout out to the Water Elementals in Twilight Highlands for annihilating my paladin over and yes again a single elemental. Isn't it awesome? Mobs can kill you now. Hallelujah. About bloody time, Blizzard, and that's a good time to end it. My name's been TotalBiscuit. You've been listening to Blue Plz. Thank you ever so much for watching my YouTube videos, for visiting the site. You are all epic. Yes, I did just say. Except some of you who are vendor trash, and you know who you are. How do we end the show? How do we end the show? How the hell do you think we end the show? We end it with metal! You love metal. Oh, do I have that Zimmer's Hole track? I don't. I need to get it. I need to get that bloody track again. If anyone can send me This Is Metal by Zimmer's Hole, I'd be very much appreciative of that, by the way. Okay. or end it with something else instead. But what is the question? But what? 2 Lives Worth of Reckoning sounds good from Soilwork. Let's do that, and maybe something else. Thank you for listening. Check out the rest of the shows when they do happen. Yeah, Swag's got a pregnant wife. He's not very available right now. We're going to try and get a show. Yeah, check out the rest of the stuff at cynicalbrit.com. Check out youtube.com/TotalHalibut, of course. And, of course, subscribe to my Twitter if you want updates. It's all good. Thank you. Metal time. Every time is metal time here on Blue Plz. Good night. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, WoW's #1 shock jock show, only on cynicalbrit.com. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a